Welcome back, Chiefs fans. Hope that you guys are ready. As the thumbnail told you, there are some certain things that are nice to have in this league, and, you know, the best quarterback in it is one of them. We're going to get into him, where he's going, what he's doing. We're going to answer your questions tonight because Chief in the North is a little bit sick tonight. So we're going to change it up. You're going to get plenty of questions answered. We're looking forward to it. This is RGR Football. Welcome back, everybody. He's Dan Harms. I'm Ryan Tracy. How are you all doing? How are you, Dan?
Oh, I'm doing all right. We're going to be leaving for a vacation tomorrow morning, and my wife decided it was a good idea to keep Avery up tonight to go see some fireworks because that makes sense.
Okay, hey.
So they're out playing over at the park right now where the fireworks are going to happen, and I'm going to go there after this and then deal with the screaming baby on the car tomorrow.
Oh, that sounds delightful. Oh, screaming is exactly what I'm expecting, folks. Seth is not feeling well. So although this is the Chief of the North stream, the Chief of the North is not actually here tonight. So we're going to mess around back and forth. I can't decide which camera angle I like better. So I'm just here. But a couple of announcements. I'll get to them in a second. Want to say thank you for all of you for being here. Ben Rotbeck, already, always the first guy in the park with the super chats. We appreciate the support. We cannot say it enough. And for those of you that want to support us, super chats always help. We'll make sure to get you something for it, whether it's a comment or a question tonight. And we will take more questions tonight. Won't be quite the pace of Monday, but it'll be something. But so thank you, Ben. To start it all off, I'll check for a question underneath that one. Couple of things. A lot of new members lately. Very happy to see that. And we have a new perk for you. Thanks to some of the guys, including your fearless moderator, Aaron, as well as some help from some of the other members, NFLDB as well. Mike, Gooch, Stevie. I think Dan probably gave it away the other night. But
I mean, I probably did. I know that it wasn't my intention, but again, I mean,
maybe what it is.
We all know what it is now.
Right. So for you members, if you are above the starter tier and up to elites, you will be getting an invite here after the 4th of July weekend to our new Discord platform, which is, if you don't know Discord, check that out. Do a quick search on it. You want to get signed up and get into that because it is kind of a message board, kind of social media, kind of like media sharing, but it is our community. It is for Rogue Nation. And I know a couple of you have said that you don't dig the Rogue Nation name. I get that it sounds like Raiders fans. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I get it.
But remember, Rogue Nation is RGR fans, not Chiefs fans. Chiefs Kingdom is still Chiefs Kingdom. We are a subset of them. So that's the way that it's going. But we're going to roll that out as a new member perk, and we have a couple of other things coming. For all you guys that are not members, you still get the extra videos, including Rogue Life with Gooch. But soon, come the season, you're going to have the Rogue Head Huddle with Stevie and Gooch out here in the public domain that you guys can see every week, and I'm looking forward to it. I got a couple other wrinkles coming for you as well, but wanted to tell you about Discord now before I mention it in some conversation without having anybody understand what I'm talking about. So
yeah, like I may have done it, on Monday.
It happens. So, and Stevie says it's good to see you. Stevie is one of the core guys running this along with Aaron and Gooch, Jeff Porter. The whole staff's going to be in it. So we do have it is going to become a place where you can communicate outside of here. It will be for the members. If you want to become a member, it's super easy. Hit the join button and you can support us that way. It supports the channel and gets you extra access to some things. Doesn't change anything else. You're going to still have like phone wallpapers and that kind of stuff from me every now and then. I got some new ones that I'm playing with. I'm doing a lot of graphics lately, so it is what it is, but it's going to be fun. So happy Canada Day to you, Todd. I'm hoping that you're in Canada. Friends and enemies. So. To all of his friends and enemies. I like that part. Okay. Wish him the best. That said, just in the main topic tonight, Seth and I were going to talk about this anyway. So we're going to stick with the theme. And sorry about that tweet if it was misleading to everyone. I had that scheduled a few days ago before I knew Seth was not feeling well. But Mahomes is like, we've talked so much about supporting him, but it turns now to the point where we're a couple weeks out. We are 3 weeks from today. The quarterbacks will be reporting. They will be in camp. I'm counting down those days because we'll actually have something real to talk about. But aside from that, it now turns to this is the process of Mahomes taking what he learned from last season and applying it to his new offensive line, to his new ex-receiver, to whoever that's going to be, maybe a new H-back that I think is going to get a lot more looks than we think he is. It all comes back to Mahomes, though. And so there's some things that I'm looking for. I want to know from you, Dan, like, what are you looking for from Mahomes right off the bat?
I'm actually looking for him to do a little bit more handoff in his RPO action, because he talked specifically about that after the Super Bowl, how he could have handed the ball off a little bit more. That shows growth of understanding your defense is another thing we've talked about over the last couple seasons. I feel like this offseason was a time for him. I know it was busy with the newborn. It's not exactly an easy time to get work done, but I guarantee
Camp might be a vacation.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen that child's been on more vacations than I've been on in my entire life. So she's already doing a good job. So I mean, that's awesome. But again, like, I feel like he's had more than enough time, because there's definitely people helping them with that whole raising process and watching and things like that. So he's going to be in the film room, his own film room, studying things that defenses did last year to specifically and study what he's going to be doing this year. And I think that we see him hand the ball off more in favorable looks and start to be a little bit slower in his processing, because that shows me that it's slowed down a little bit. I feel like sometimes he's always a little bit too quick to pull it, rip it, that kind of thing, or go from one side immediately to the opposite side. You still have to have a little bit of continuity in your brain, even though you expect a player to be in a certain spot. That's only going to work for so long, and that's going to, again, this is that year for me that he takes that step forward with it, slows down in his head, so he doesn't have to go like super fast through his process. So I'm excited to see how he does that and actually starts to basically call out defenses like we've seen in the past from other quarterbacks. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And I think so too. I'm looking for very similar things from him as well, and not necessarily just handing it, but understanding where the easy play is. We know he can go downtown. We know he wants to. It's the fact, if they're leaving, if they're playing open middle with two high safeties, and you have, I think Gray is going to be a guy that's going to, if it's me, if I know what Andy might be taking advantage of, it's running routes off the tail of Travis Kelce, because that instantly draws coverage. So for me, it's taking the easier throws in the middle between the hashes, where I think you have the athletic advantage because of the way teams are going to play you. Yeah. It's got to be that as well. So there's a lot that goes into it, but his evolution is what's going to guide this team to possibly another Super Bowl. And we can't underestimate that. We have to be honest about that. That is the goal for this team. There's no ways or means where they are not thinking about getting back to another one. It makes it tough. And there is some pressure there, right?
There's a lot of pressure there.
But I feel that they can handle it. And I feel like Patrick in particular is a quarterback that is, like, honestly built to handle it.
It definitely feels like he is. I think that the way he's handled himself ever since he's been anointed the starter, even before then, he came in knowing that Alex Smith was going to be the starter. Like, this whole process has not only built him to handle situations like this, but they went to the AFC Championship game his first year, Super Bowl. It just feels like he's grown accustomed to it in a good way, because he knows how to handle it. Now, they've all been there before, and they just continue to go about their business and not handle things they don't take things too lightly. I don't think. I know that there are some things that maybe some of the younger players, not named Mahomes, still have some things to work on, and I think that it's a perfect situation for these young guys to go into and really grow through, because they're going to be there and be like, look, yeah, this is a win, but you need to look down the road in terms of saving yourself and thinking about the bigger picture. Always celebrate the wins here, but always think in mind that we're trying to get something better done because we've been there before and we know how to do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it all comes down to. So, I mean, and that's going to be the theme, I think, of tonight in general, but the next couple of weeks, that's going to be my theme about what does he do? What is he showing? And we'll get there. Scott, I want to answer your question too. I assume that you mean in St. Joe. What are the top 3 destinations in St. Joe? I don't want to call out any businesses in particular because no one's sponsoring this show yet. But this show will be sponsored eventually, people. But there is one, drinking establishment that people like to go to quite often. There's a number of great restaurants up there. For me, it's always about what are your destinations at camp? Have you been to Chiefs camp yet, Dan?
I've been once, so I'm not exactly the most knowledgeable person to answer that question.
Well, I will tell you my top 3 destinations at camp, just to fill everybody in. If you ever want to find me, you will find me at the corner of the fence below the media tent on the hill, because that's the best vantage point for me to see both fields all the time. Sean Meacham, Aaron, like everybody's run into me in the same spot. That's where I will be if they let us. That's the only question mark. I will tell you this, if they leave all the fences where they are and everybody has access to walk up to the fences, I'll tell you probably the most fun part is to watch the D-line drills because they're down about 8 feet from the fence. Mm-hmm. You can see them move the sled. You can see them hitting each other. That gives you an idea of, again, this is only practice speed, but it gives you an idea of what the very difference is between what we see on television and how fast and how big these guys are actually moving. I always find that enjoyable. The kids love it down there, and it makes perfect sense to me. So third one is probably going to be shade.
If you can find it, that's not even close to joking. The first time I went, I was wearing a jersey, so you can tell, and I didn't have anything underneath it because I knew it was going to be hot. So if you've got like sticky numbers on you, it was probably the worst experience I've had in terms of wearing something anywhere. So that's never going to happen again. I can tell you that much. But I made my way down to the opposite end. So if you're looking at the field from the hill, you go right up the side where those bleachers are, all the way down. I got to see some of the wide receivers doing the work. They're pretty close up there. But I passed by Alex Okafor. That man is absolutely huge. I thought he was just like this, about me size when I, looking up next to him. But I walked by and I'm just like, no, it's not really even close. And you can really tell how much bigger and, as Seth would say, juicier these guys are in terms of the muscular tissue that they have. So it was definitely an experience.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of eye-opening when you get there. I always remember those days when I was first interning in the league, and it was like, wow, I've coached college. This is a different level, I mean, the filter to get to the NFL is eye-opening at times. So, Scott, there's a couple of ideas at least. I'm not sure that's what you were asking, but hey, that's where we went. Ben, I wanted to get to your question. I'm confused though because I'm not sure who Thorson is. Do you mean Thompson?
I think he's talking about Jody Fortson, maybe.
Oh, Fortson. Okay.
Maybe. That's what I'm getting from that, but
well, let's talk about both of them. I think Fortson has a shot, but I think it's probably outside. I think Blake Bell is probably right now the third tight end, unless Jody can take it from him. Yeah. I think Darwin Thompson is probably the fourth running back unless somebody gets hurt.
Yeah, so for me, I don't believe that Fortson can take that from Bell. He's a better blocker. We haven't even seen what Jody can do in terms of blocking. It's going to be a little more difficult for him to block like a tight end because he's a lot bigger in terms of size and slimmer. So he doesn't have that advantage in terms like Blake Bell does. He's a bit shorter, he's a bit thicker, so he can actually get some blocking work done. And we know that Noah Gray is pretty much going to make this roster as an H-back type player because they dreaded up draft him. So I really think that he's almost solidified too. I don't really see a spot for Jody. And as much as I like him, what he can do, they don't necessarily use his skill set. He's a guy that can go get the football. And until we see any inclination, it's been It's been 8 years, Andy, and I still haven't seen you do it. So in
The
KC,
jump ball is not a thing.
so I don't think it's going to happen. And unless the Chiefs keep 4 running backs, which they definitely could, they've done it in the past. I think that they want to keep those spots for wide receivers, the defensive line, and offensive line. So I think the 3 will make the roster. And the way I know Williams is going to be the 2, and we know essentially that McKinnon is going to make this roster. I think he's a multiple different. He gives you more things than Thompson does. And unfortunately, when you are a guy who struggles in pass protection, hasn't really developed much as a 6th-round player, it kind of works that way.
Yeah. I think he's definitely a guy that they'll have on the practice squad if they can get him. If he shows anything in the preseason, they can't get him on the 53. I think he's got the body type. If he shows any kind of playmaking ability, I think he might get snatched up. So
yeah, I could do that, yeah.
Just keep an eye out.
He's shown enough, I think, in glimpses, Thompson that is, to maybe get picked up somewhere and be a 3rd guy on a roster.
Yeah, I think you're right. Brendan, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate the support. So many people, the Chiefs secondary holds too much. Cost too much or holds too much? Oh, and the Super Bowl penalties. Even Romo mentioned, is it a concern? I mean, that's part of Bashad's game. You know what I mean? Ward panics when he gets beat out of man because he's usually good at it. So I think that's an aspect of that. I don't see Fenton and Snead being too tacky. So I'm not concerned about it. I think the bigger culprit is now a Minnesota Vikings. So
yeah, so I think that there's 2 parts to this. You have Breeland and Ward, who are the main culprits of those holding penalties. Breeland, it's just his game. He's a physical, get in your face kind of guy, and you're going to have some of those along the way. But it's because he knows how to do it. He knows the nuances of playing the cornerback position, and he can kind of get away with it for the most part. With Ward, you see him hold because he gets beat too much. And those really the flip side of that coin is that Ward is trying to do it to catch back up. We saw it against Minnesota 2 years ago with that holding penalty where he'd used it to catch back up to Diggs when he got beat on that deep route by him. He was doing a good job, and then he had to hold his outside hip just to catch back up. So we don't see Fenton do it. Actually, I think Fenton is a little bit more apt to do it because he is a physical corner, but Snead has the agility, the quickness, the speed, really the instincts to keep up with guys, and I don't see him holding very much in his game. So it's really kind of going to work its way out. And even if Breeland was back, I honestly, I don't care. I love the physicality, and a 5-yard penalty every now and then is not gonna bother me in the slightest.
Yeah, I have to say I'd rather give the message that you're not going to out physical us.
Exactly.
Myself. I will say this. I do want to see how Snead does after he gets the attention he's going to get. I do think teams are going to go at him more this season. So
definitely.
We'll see. Thank you, Brendan. We appreciate it. Preachers, if you're signed up and you have a Discord account, I'm working on pulling all the member information into our private Discord. You'll get an invite, I believe, through that. Otherwise, I'll hit you guys on the Monday night and tell you, hey, send me all your emails. That's like the old school way, right? So me and Snail Mail will get along, but I will let you know as the progress moves on. Fitzboy Fitz, good question. What do you think about having full attendance at the stadiums this year? Yeah, the Colts, I think they were the last ones. They just got full attendance, right? Yeah. So I think it's great for the league. I think you're going to see the level of play come back up. I think obviously the money allows free agency, et cetera, et cetera. And it seems like they're being pretty cautious about it in terms of either mask wearing or proven vaccination or whatever it's going to be. I think it might be a pain going into the stadium the first few weeks. I think we're hearing a lot of complaints. I think it'll smooth out after that, though.
Yeah, it's all about getting the process down. Whatever they figure out they're going to do with probably, I would imagine most of it will be you have to essentially bring your vaccination card. I think that since they're a private organization like that, they can do that and get away with it. Most people will not have an issue with that. There will definitely be some that do. But again, this will smooth itself out within the first month, couple weeks, I would think. I'm going to be there in week 5 against the Bills. So I'll tell you guys how it is myself in that process. But I'm excited about it. I've been watching a lot of sports that's obviously, it's kind of a peak time for me outside of football. This is, now that we got the Euro, now a big golf person. I'm a huge tennis person. So like I see fans in the stands. Like Wimbledon's on right now, and I'm loving every minute of it. The fans are back. It's helping energize the players back. So like I'm really excited about it. And I know that a lot of people don't watch a lot of tennis, but I can tell you something. At least the majors are definitely worth a watch. And I hopefully we get stationed in like England sometime so I can go to Wimbledon. It'll be so much fun.
There you go. See, for me, it's all about the Olympic trials right now. That's like,
yes, that too.
Between my kids in sports and my old sports, like that's in July, I will be hard pressed to be pulled away from whatever time they're going to televise wrestling. I'll be paying attention. So
yeah,
that's my sport. Todd, I'm glad to know it. I thought your icon there was more about the black shirts up in Nebraska, so I was wondering, but way to shout out the Canadians. I like that. I know there are some of you here. I'm not sure if Mr. McLean is, but we will find out. But Todd, welcome to the memberships as well. Okay,
thank you.
So you did jump on it. That's great. It is fun, and it is another level of integration with this that I think is going to be fun stuff for us. And thank you, Aaron. Perfect. See, this is why Aaron runs the chats, people.
Right.
Because he knows stuff.
He's all up in there.
And so Stevie's here. Yes. And guys, I am going to work on that this weekend. 4th is always tough for me. That's 4th of July is the day my mom passed. So I usually take this weekend and try to work through it. So I'm going to be doing stuff. I will tell you that. Let's see. Didi, Chiefs sign Richard Sherman or not a good fit? I mean, I don't know. Is he Richard Sherman 3 years ago? Or why is he out there on the street? Because if they still thought he could hold up, he wouldn't be on the street.
Correct. And because he's on the street, makes me think he's not willing to make the switch to safety either, which I know that you'd be very happy to see him make the switch to safety with the way that he knows defenses. Because he's such a good zone corner, it really would be ideal to get him in a defense as a third safety and have him play a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage maybe and back him up every now and then. He knows what he's doing. He can read zone very well. He can read offense as well. Like I would love to see him in the safety room and just help everybody. I think it would be a great addition. But since he's out there, I don't think he's very ready to call it quits as a corner yet. And there's not many over 30-year-old plus corners that are strictly zone corners that you can really just throw out there. So a little surprising it picked up by the Jets.
That's fair. Yeah. With Saleh over there, I agree. And that's the problem. That's the fit issue, Didi, is that Spags he's not going to be one scheme or another. They are so multiple in the way that they play zone versus man versus all the fronts and everything. Sherman's an okay blitzer too, but you got to be able to move off the corner and attack the quarterback as well. And at his age, I'm not sure he's there. So
agreed.
It is what it is. Oh my Lord. He's here. He's just not able to speak, folks. He's got a head cold. He's not feeling good. Buddy, I hope that you will get to feeling better.
Me too.
But Didi, I will say this. I would love to see Sherman as the safety. Dan's absolutely right. I'll even go so far to say as I think he could be the best corner to safety convert since Woodson.
Whew. That's some high praise right there.
I'm not saying he'd be better. I'm saying he would be the next best since.
Yeah.
I mean,
that'd be incredible.
He's got that. He's got that. But no, not going to happen. Seth, I'm glad that you made it, though. Folks, everybody say hi to Seth in the chat. I know you weren't expecting that. And he said, welcome to the juicy upgraded memberships. Thank you. As per usual, Stevie is on it. Holly, thank you very much. Always appreciate your support. Do you think that the new things Mahomes is working on will affect the chemistry with Kelce and Tyreek? You go first.
Not even a little bit. The way that he and Mahomes and Kelce all, they all work together, they're always going to be able to know where each other is on the field. I think that what Ryan is talking about with getting maybe a little bit easier looks is, you're always going to have those looks to Kelce and Hill. Like, even if they're covered, that they're not necessarily covered, but maybe you want to help them not get covered. So you start throwing the ball to Hardman, you start throwing it to Clyde, start throwing it to Pringle, and guess what? The defenses have to be like, well, maybe we need to play more straight up. That means, guess what? Everyone's going to be open. If you can burn defenses with guys that they don't respect guess what? Your offense is unstoppable, and that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I will tell you this. I think it will diminish the opportunities, just like Dan said. You got to spread it around then, especially if you're making opportunities for other targets. But I don't think that changes the chemistry. If anything, I think if they're down, if they are, I can't imagine them being down. Sorry, I just threw myself off there. If they're playing from behind by a point or whatever, maybe I think his natural tendency will go back to Hill and Kelce. But maybe overall they don't see quite as many targets on the season, but I don't think it affects the chemistry at all. I think he will look for them in the difficult points in the game as well. So again, thank you, Holly, for all the support like every week. Yes. And I hope that answers your question. Cole said hi to everybody. Yes, you're right, Stevie. See, you guys know me at this point.
We do.
My wife would be like, who's Richard Sherman? And she knows football. She just doesn't know everybody's names. I'm having sinus problems. FLDB, you are absolutely right. I believe that's what he's having. He's in here too. Well, I don't need to talk for him. He can type. He's actually really good at it. I am not.
Yeah, I'm slow.
Ryan, Mr. Strange, how are you?
How's it going, Ryan?
Crazy how we all wanted Alex Smith to go deep more. And now we want Mahomes to dink and dunk the opportunity. There's just funny flipping. It's not that we want him to dink and dunk. It's that I think it's better for him in the long run. My big thing is no matter what, this offensive line, as good as they are, I think it's going to take a couple minutes for them to get organized, get gelled. I just don't want to see him get hit anymore. I don't want to see him having to break the pocket because he's running for his life anymore. Because I'm thinking long term. I talked about it with Matt the other day. If you missed Locked On Chiefs, we're on YouTube as well now, you guys. You can watch that as well as listen to it on all the podcast platforms. One thing we were talking about is if everything goes to plan for the Kansas City Chiefs this season, they will have played 60 ball games in the last 3 years.
It's a lot of mileage.
That is a lot. And if you want to project more, Mahomes' contract, you're talking about 200 more contests. Yeah. So any impact that we can take off of him for any amount, I am all for that. He will always go deep. It's not that we want dink and dunk. It's just healthier for him to take what's there.
And I think that if you want to talk about just black and white talk about it, Alex dealt with stacked boxes because the Chiefs ran the football and they were good at running the football, and he got the ball out quick, and he did a lot of those things he got the ball out quick, and we wanted to take advantage of those single coverage opportunities. And he did. And he was very good at it. And now, I mean, you get to see defenses respect Mahomes so much that they're like, fine, take everything underneath. We don't want you throwing deep on us. So they put two guys up top. They shadow coverage Hill and get someone on Kelce so much that they're like, well, look, there's going to be like 10, 15 yards underneath to some of these other guys. You may as well start taking some of that. So I think that's just kind of how it unfolds is players do what they do really, really well, and defenses start to see that, and so they adjust to it.
I'll put it this way, and just to follow through on Seth's comment, you got to make sure that this year, when your game plan goes out the window, you have to make sure that the squeeze that you're putting out is producing the juice that you're looking for.
And it's not some adorable play concept, because we all know what's going to happen with that.
Right. I mean, and hey, I'm going to put together a reel for you guys. We'll have some film the next couple weeks that is kind of highlighting what their offense has been, and Rolex is going to be one of them. I'm going to put a couple together because the interesting stuff, the creative stuff is certainly applicable, but you can't rely on it, or you don't want to rely on it. That's what the power run game, I think, is going to be added a little bit more, like trying to take that to not make it a necessity.
Very true.
Just make it a juicy main course. You don't have to have the dessert. See, Seth, I'm trying to get the catchphrases in here, but I know you'll take over when you're back next week, so that's fine.
I'm not as worked into this as you, Seth. I can't just like do it on a dime. I kind of like work up to it.
It is kind of his thing anyway. And Seth, I do need to know from you. You and Steve are gonna have to get together and see if the emoji is serviceable to reproduce, because it does have your likeness. So
yeah.
Otherwise, I'll come up with
throw it out there.
Right. Otherwise, Stevie and I have another concept we can go with. But Cole asked, what percentage of chance would you put on Yang being the right tackle week 1? I'm leaning towards 80 to 85%. Dan, what do you think?
I'm going 40%. I think that the fact that Remmers was more than serviceable last year at right tackle. Let's just be honest. I think that a lot of people take what happened at left tackle and really pulled it against him. But for the most part, he was a very good right tackle for them last year. I think that given the fact that he played all of last year, he's played in the NFL, he's not coming into essentially a brand new offense and learning the position. I think that gives him the biggest edge, and I want Niang to win that spot. I'm just more convinced that a guy like Remmers, who knows what he's doing, he's been in the offense, he's not learning anything new. He was steady there last year, has an advantage over essentially a rookie.
Yeah. You guys aren't going to like this. From everyone that I talked to that have seen practice and seen movement, there was some reason that Niang was taking snaps on the left side as well with the backups. That's part of the Rankin maneuver. I think they want him to be the swing. I'm going to put it at 20%. I don't think it's going to happen unless there's an injury. And I'm okay with that because, quite frankly, if he can't win the job from Remmers, I don't want him out there. I don't want his confidence ruined. I feel like we're underestimating the fact that he's really a rookie. We should treat him as though he's a part of this rookie class, in my opinion. So, like, I am all for protecting his progress and his confidence as far as I'm concerned. So don't be upset. I know you guys want to see him out there. So do I. And I'll have more on him. I'll get his trainer back on here and we'll go through that. Let's see. Stevie had something interesting observation. I think has to do with taking whatever that he gives you, the daring Smith to pass deep. Yeah. Now they're daring Pat to have patience and go underneath. Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing is they dare you to go where they feel that they already have an advantage by adjusting their defense. They're trying to take away what you do well. That's
exactly.
So let's see. Fitz. I think folks, if you are new to the chat, or even if you're a regular and you forgot, make sure you put question marks at the beginning so that I can find them in this long chat window that I have. It helps me just like Fitzboy did right here. Do you think that Shane Buechele will get any snaps in the preseason games? I think he has to if they're going to evaluate him successfully. I don't know if he's here to be a camp body or they really want to evaluate him though.
Yeah, I think that we know that Chad Henne doesn't exactly need the snaps in preseason. He's one of the veterans on this team. Like, he's been here for a while. He's been in the league for a while, and you want to evaluate Shane Buechele. I think that at the very most, it may help you get some kind of a player, like a UDFA that you want. Like, at the very most, you might be able to trade him if that's what you're looking for, or if you want to see if he can be an actual backup, which, since they still have Chad Henne on the roster, we're getting to that point that they're going to need to find an actual backup later that can produce. And I love and will forever love what Chad Henne did against the Browns to basically save the Chiefs season. I will forever be grateful. But the offense up until then wasn't exactly functional. And that's kind of a problem if you do ever have to deal with injury and you're playing 200 games, these next 200 games in his career, you're going to have probably some injuries. And that's just kind of the fact of playing in the NFL. So I'd much rather see if they can get a guy like Shane Buechele with some talent. I mean, I'm not trying to say he's even that great, but I think that they need to start working some of these younger guys to actually get a backup for the future.
Yeah, I'm with you. Seth, I'm sorry that your facial area is basically the plague. I hope that you recover. But Todd had a good point. Maybe a ghost pepper would fix it. I don't know. I had some ghost pepper salsa today because I have sinus infection myself. I'm hoping I don't get to Seth's point, unfortunately. Steve had a good question. Concepcion, would incorporating a power run scheme help or hurt the passing offense? And I will tell you this. I think, A, they are doing it. And I'll say, B, the interesting thing about power run is that it's quicker for the linebackers to read because the running back isn't reading which hole he's going to take. He generally has a gap that he's going to in the power game. And so that allows him to take a more direct step. It allows the linebackers to take a more direct step, which makes play action that much more successful. I think that's actually going to help the passing game quite a bit.
I think it definitely will, especially because if they're going to be using pulling guards. Like, that's another thing that why it usually is easier to read for linebackers. They see a guard take a step. opposite where they're supposed to be going, they read it and start moving to that direction. You can use a lot of different things off that. You can use, like you talked about play action, you could even use counters in the run game. So you could have someone come back around, you could use end arounds. It's going to help a lot of different functionality that the Chiefs have struggled with. As much as they use those end arounds to some success, if you can run the ball with these power run games and you can get maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 yards, that as much as we talk about analytic people thinking that play action does not really affect linebackers, it 100% does. Even the smallest amount of them moving early to that gap and that play will make everything better. It's extremely been underappreciated how much the play action game has helped the Tennessee Titans offense because of Derrick Henry. Like, it's incredible what you can do with these linebackers if you just start to move them a little bit early, and that's really going to help everybody.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be great. It'll look a little more old school. I think it'll still allow the passing game to be modern. What's the safety room look like is my guess. It looks a lot like it did last year with the top 3, to tell you the truth. My only question is, do they keep 4 or 5? Because if they only keep 4, I think somebody else, I think, Ben, your second question. Yes, I think Parks beats out Watts. He's the better player. Yeah. I'll tell you that. The question is, how much is going to special teams? How much do you want guy to have snaps on defense? That's the only question. But they might keep 5 anyway, and I think they would be 4 and 5. So you just never know.
Really depends on how many offensive linemen they keep. If they start seeing, as training camp gets over and the preseason is here, and they're like, look, we have to really cut some bait because when we have too many bodies and they're just not good enough, which I think might actually happen. They're going to either start trading some guys. I think that Wiley might be able to get you in a UDFA, like a player swap kind of thing. He's played in the NFL. You could probably do something like that with him. I think you've talked about Austin Blythe. That's a possibility. Maybe Nick Allegretti, if that's what you're looking for to do. But they're going to have some options with the offensive line that they've done in the past before, and I think they could do again.
I'm with you. Michael, good question. With the NFL looking for a new spot for the combine, they're going to open it up to bids just like the draft. Where would you like it to be held? I mean, for me, I just want it to move around. I don't think the Chiefs are going to be in play for it because you would have to do it at a convention center or something. Like anybody with an outdoor field. I mean, it's early February, mid-February at the latest, right? Yeah. So it's got to be a dome basically. I just want to see it move around. Go out to California, do it on the West Coast for once. Like all those Super Bowls end up down in Florida and stuff. Like I'd like to just see it so that more NFL fans get a look and get into that part of the roster building.
Yeah, I get it. I'm not a big fan of it moving.
That's fair.
They got everything set up already.
What's up, Avery?
How's it going, man?
I know we don't generally hear too much this time of year, but it seems like a lot less than expected in regards to Bolton. Is your opinion a good thing or a bad thing? Yeah, I mean, this is July. I mean, by the time minicamp breaks until it's like maybe a week before quarterbacks, you don't hear anything. Everybody's on vacation. I haven't even heard from Chiefs PR that my credentials been denied this year. I'm sure it will be, but I mean, hey, if Chiefs PR, if you're watching, or anybody in the media room, I know some of you guys are watching. I'd love to show up and actually be credentialed for once. Just saying.
He is now verified.
Yeah, right. Hey,
I mean,
Twitter said okay. Come on, like Twitter means anything, but no, I wouldn't take that as anything negative, Avery. Quite frankly, I'm glad he's under the radar. I feel like the expectations for Willie got a little out of hand last year, given how little experience he had and being a rookie. Like, I think they just want to groom Nick to be Hitch's replacement. And if he can get on in the base defense as the third linebacker, great. I don't think that's necessarily their goal for 2020 or 2021 or whatever year we're in.
Yeah, I think we talked a little bit about that when he was drafted. Like, I feel like this was clearly a 2021 type, a 2022 kind of pick. He was drafted to wait in line. If you can get him on the field, that'll be great. Maybe in some games that you're blowing out teams, or the preseason will be great for him down the line of that kind of thing. If you're resting guys too, it's always a bonus to get him on the field. But he definitely feels more like they're waiting for him to get the defense under him, because that's a huge part of learning defense, as we saw with Willie Gay. It just it doesn't click for everybody, and you want to make sure, much like a quarterback in some ways, that you as a linebacker, especially to be your Mike, to make all the calls and everything, to be that green dot, they have to learn everything. So I think this was a smart decision on their part to get their guy for the future and let him sit. I think it's important.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. Ben Brubeck, thank you again.
Thank you.
As always. You are the man. I love it. We really do appreciate your support, you guys. We couldn't do this without you.
Incredible.
There's so much time that goes into this. It's great to know that you guys are getting out of it what we're trying to put into it. That's a plus. And I do want to show you guys. Oh, wait, I just hit the wrong button. Hold on.
Oh, no.
Wrong screen. I'm going to share this because, I can. Well, maybe I can. Maybe I just have to hit this because I want to zoom in on it, but I can't because it's a pain. So if I do that, okay, I'm going to share this real quick. Won't be long, but I want everybody to get a look at just how we're feeling about Seth and the juicy protocol that we can all look forward to. Because this, if I can hover over it, it should blow up. Oh, wait, it's not now, of course.
Oh, of course not.
Dang it. No, that's Stevie. Okay, so Stevie has made a juicy icon with Seth in it. Maybe if I make the cell bigger, will that help?
It's funny. It's a good one.
It is funny, and that's what I'm trying to show. There we go. Well, it pixelated really badly, but it's got a nice little arch to it. It's with the it is with the black shirt with the silver tie. So maybe we're gonna have to co-opt that. I'm not sure, but just wanted you guys to get a look at it. I want Seth to get a look at it too. Voodoo. Ben, I'll find your next comment. I promise. I'll keep going. Thank you for all the support, Ben. Worried about Taco's chances to replicate his pressure rate with higher snaps. Should they sign an edge rusher? I don't think the two things are connected. I do think he can replicate it. The question is, will he play the base defense enough to earn those snaps? I'm not sure what they want to do. And I always say have another edge rusher in the hole.
Yeah, I feel like the Chiefs think about defensive ends outside of Frank Clark, much like the Fast and Furious people do. They just keep making them, and they just keep putting them in. Like, they don't care about what happens or anything about the future. They're just like, we're going to keep doing this. We're going to bring more in and keep going. And that seems like what they do with defensive end. They're like, they're going to plug this here, they're going to do this here, and then they're just going to put it out there, and guess what? It's going to work anyway. And that's what Fast and Furious does. People just go and see it for no reason. I guarantee you the newest one's going to be awful. It's going to be terrible. But you want to know what? It's going to do numbers.
It is. I just want to know one thing. In what world is John Cena related to Vin Diesel?
That was I saw that when I was doing this. I for some reason I had hovered over one of the previews, and he's talking about how the John Cena says, brother, no. If anything, he should be related to Dwayne Johnson. They're both wrestlers. Like, right, at the very least, the only connection there would make sense. But here we are, Fast 9, and they've already started filming Fast 10, by the way.
Have they really? Wow.
Yes.
Well, and you remember in Fast 1, it was his dad's car. There was no brother.
There was no brother.
You can't make these guys up later.
Okay. Yes, you can. That's how this works. They just throw things in, and they don't care.
Yeah, well, people will still go see it.
But
J7 says your wife is smart. Listen to her.
My daughter does not sleep during the day in the car unless it's her nap time. And then she'll only sleep in her bed. My daughter does not sleep in the stroller going anywhere. She will be awake. If she's outside, she will stay awake. She's in a car, she's going to stay awake. So, not really, unfortunately.
Well, there's always what is it? So what's the baby sleep medicine? I can't remember. I haven't had to use it in so long. My kids are growing. Good Lord, I'm getting old. Anyway, there's that. No, it's the antihistamine, Benadryl.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to do that. My brother's made that joke a lot, and I'm just like, dude, now that you're about to have a kid, that's not funny.
Right.
That's not funny.
Let's not give them stuff on purpose.
Right.
Joseph, thank you as always. We appreciate the support. You have a good question. Worst case scenario, if Kelce misses significant time, what kind of changes do we see from the offense? I mean, do you think that they go right to Noah and try to put him into that role?
So they're going to probably do a couple different things. I think we'll see more of Clyde in the slot in terms of pass game. Get those matchups on the linebackers that you want, kind of get with Travis, because he's a different breed, but Clyde with his quickness and his foot speed and being able to set up linebackers can give you some of that. But they're going to use both him, and that might actually allow Fortson to come up and get more snaps. They're going to have to facilitate the tight end position. And we've seen Blake Bell in this offense before. He might get the majority of the snaps. He might get the majority of the routes, but I guarantee you he won't get the majority of the targets because he's not a dynamic player by any means. It might also open the door up for more wide receiver sets instead of tight ends. Maybe they bring Blake Bell in just to block or just use Noah Gray as an H-back and bring him out of the backfield. Maybe they use more two running back sets. They're gonna have to find some way to facilitate offense that way. I would lean more towards 4 wide receiver sets. That's going to give you a better outlook on getting open, and maybe you again use them in the short split like they do with Kelce. Andy still loves to leave his tackles out on a island anyway, so it won't change that much the formation for that matter. But I don't know if they want to just throw him into the deep end that way. And if they do, I mean, cool. He doesn't drop passes anyway, so I'm all for it.
I think they could try to stay with the 3-by-1 formations and leave him as the one, because if you can get a linebacker on, I think that's an advantage.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do all the same things with Kelce. I just don't see that from Noah's film. And folks, I am working on Noah's film. I have some all 22. I just don't have a ton of it yet, so I'm not really ready to drop that. No matter what, I will put out the Noah Gray film study before camp starts. That's my deadline, so I can't guarantee anything else. But yeah, I just don't think the skill set is quite there. Maybe in a year or two, we'll see. Thank you for the support, though, Joseph. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
What defensive player do you think could play offense and vice versa?
That's a cool question. I like that.
That's a very good one, Steve. And thank you, Gorple.
So I think I'm going to just say that Chris Jones could play tight end. I think he could play tight end.
Okay.
We all know that Colin Saunders could play on offense. Like he was a running back, and obviously Seth did his film when he first came out, and he found all of his high school footage as a running back. Like, the dude can move. He's got light feet. So I think that's the obvious answer. But I do think that this slimmed down version of Chris Jones could play tight end in the NFL and actually be quite good.
Wow, that's scary.
Impossible to stop. And then offensive player on defense. I mean, I think Creed Humphrey could play defensive tackle. I think Creed Humphrey could do it with his wrestling background. Maybe more of a 3-tech, not a run stopping guy, but I think he could get in there and do some things. But that's a little bit more. Tyreek could obviously play corner. I think he could 100% play corner.
Yeah, I think Byron Pringle could be a nice safety too.
Yeah, I like that.
Cummins, I don't know. I didn't see anything of practice so far, so I just can't tell you. I hope so. Laddie's here. I know I'm way behind in the chat.
What's going on, man?
I'm gonna start hitting the super chats here, and thank you, Laddie. Appreciate that. Do you think the Chiefs O-line starters will have trouble gelling this year? For me, it's all about the right guard. If they don't have a rookie in there, and I know they like Trey Smith, I get that. If it's one rookie on the offensive line, I can think that they're going to gel pretty quickly. If it's multiples, I mean, God forbid you end up with 3 rookies with Creed, Trey, and Niang winning their jobs. Good for them for winning, but that doesn't give you the basis of the experience, I think, to work with. So that might be a little troublesome.
I just don't see Andy allowing 3 rookies to win their jobs. I don't think that I think they would all just kind of be by default starters. Like, you would have a guy like LDT or Remmers be the starter by default, because he is not a guy that has ever been very comfortable with that on the offensive line. And I think that as much as, Mahomes has said that they've been getting together and they feel like they've known each other forever, it takes a long time to really get what this player is going to do in terms of working from a block to a double to the second level. You have to really get that timing down. It's all about those reps in the preseason and in the first few weeks to really see what it looks like with actual other players across from you. So I think that's going to be a work in progress, but most of them will be veterans. I think the first few weeks, probably over the first month, you'll see most of those kinks worked out.
I think so too. Like, I'm just trying to look up, like, when was the last time that 3 rookies started for this team? I don't know
For this team, I don't think that's ever happened.
I don't know that I could check it, but it's a great question, Laddie. Folks, Laddie Morse, you can check him out, arrowhead1.com. You can check him out there. I'm glad that you're here, man. I'm glad you made it. There's some adorably juicy icons. Yes. Looks like, okay, Stevie changed it. Okay, thanks, Stevie. That actually let me show it pretty well.
There we go.
You guys, I missed one from Ryan Strange. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it. He said just because you guys are awesome. So I'm glad I didn't miss a question.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Let's see who else. I'm going to try to hit the questions, and we're going to finish up on the super chats, guys. I didn't realize we were at 50 minutes already. This is crazy. How do you feel about week 1 preseason game being 49ers Chiefs depot line versus their D line? I think it's a great test, especially early in the season.
Yeah, just let you get some things figured out too, earlier than we really expect.
Yeah. Michael, rookie of the year.
It's gonna be Creed Humphrey.
I think if all goes well, it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dark horse is Cornell Powell.
Yeah, I know it is. We know where you're going. Gary, great question. I know there's a lot of fan interest, but I'm just going to say this. Just like Richard Sherman, the guy's got a ton of experience. He went to New York and things didn't seem to be the same. He's on the street for a reason. And I'm not sure the Chiefs are going to make a move here.
You know, if you guys have seen any of my work over the Fantasy Football Astronauts, I just got done doing Daniel Jones film not too long ago, and Golden Tate flashed more than a few times. So as much as he's probably getting older, I think there is something there for a pure slot wide receiver. And I would not ever say no to getting someone that's just always open. And I feel like he's almost always open. So that's just me.
My only problem is you put him, and I agree with you, I think he's a slot only at this point. That tells me you're giving up on Hardman.
Exactly. Like that's the thing. Like you're putting someone down. Like that's what it is.
Yeah. Oh, Laddie put his question in here a second time. Laddie, I'm sorry it took me so long. Super chatters, I'm going to get to you right now. Gooch. Hi, Dan.
How's it going?
Gooch. Dan is spilling more secrets. Well done.
I'm not trying to.
Holly, thank you for your super chat.
Yes, thank you, Holly.
Seems like Chiefs PR has a lot more quiet this season than last. Is it just me? I agree with you. I think that they, from my understanding, PR is doing one thing. The media group is doing some new things. They have a new director over there. So I think they're changing some things up. Obviously, BJ's not there. BJ done a ton of work.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what Matt does. I like Matt, and I think he's going to produce some good content. I think they're just trying to straighten it all out. Honestly, not being able to be around the players is tough when you're trying to produce content. So I can understand why they're a little bit quieter this year. Morbian, you made it back. Welcome. I know it's been a while since I was live, but here goes. Should the fans expect from CEH considering the O-line changes this year? Do you have a number in mind, Matt? Dan?
I got 1,800 yards.
Whoa, from scrimmage, right?
From scrimmage, not on the ground.
Okay,
come on, don't be. He is not Derrick Henry. Like as much as we want that to happen, the Chiefs will never let that happen. But 1,800 scrimmage yards is what I've got for him this year, and double-digit touchdowns. I think he's going to get that.
I can jam with that. I was leaning more towards 14, but hey, that's fine. I would like to see 1,000 on the ground. That's what I want. I want a grand on the ground.
That's it. That's all I want. I want a grand on the ground. I've got him projected as the third highest receiving target in the Chiefs offense, which would make him around 800 plus yards. So that's what I've got him at. Good
point. Stevie, I know that you can turn that red. I have faith in you. Sexy accident. Welcome back. With Hardman taking a bigger role in the offense, do you see Tube having someone else take the primary return duties? Juicy specialist. There's a hashtag for you.
There we go. Let's get that trending.
Oh, good Lord. I do think someone else is going to take it. They took heavy looks at Callaway, at Fountain got some, at Pringle, at Fenton even. I think they're going to try to lighten the load on McColl and try to let it click for him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they want him doing it anymore. I really don't. The end of last year really kind of sold it for me. They had Pringle doing it a lot, and he was doing a good job. I just feel like they want Hardman to focus on offense. That's where he needs to make his impact felt, and they can always facilitate at return guys. They have Callaway, they have McKinnon, who's going to be able to do it too. I feel like that there's got to be some way they make him focus solely on the offensive side, which is really where your impact needs to be felt this year.
Yeah, I agree with you. Press Vision, good question. I just saw somebody, he put it on Instagram or something, some of his training. Yeah. He's cutting apparently. That's a positive sign. I don't know that we can see anything until he practices, but yeah, that's a good thing. Okay.
I'm impressed.
Laddie, I apologize. I'm sorry I made you say it so many times. I just got behind. Hey, Julian, how are you? Glad you made it. Man? Cole's got a question. Do they have a facility that could host the combine? Not really. They could do it in a convention center, but like the Chiefs practice facility is basically one field. It's a wide one. Like you have some extra room, but it could never do a combine enough to do it. Gooch, don't hurt yourself.
Right?
You're making me nervous. That was the Rock's line, right?
What are you cooking right now? You should really ask yourself that question.
Hopefully not juicy though. Okay, fair enough. You guys are rolling with it. When it's a theme, it's a theme. Okay, let's see. Making sure I'm getting all the super chatters. Everybody else's questions I will hit when I can. Thank you, Gooch, as always. Okay, Steve, what do we have to do to avoid a Super Bowl hangover?
Did you watch the Super Bowl? That was the hangover. I think that they're completely like locked in and ready to go. I truly believe that this hangover really last year would have been a Super Bowl hangover for anything. They won the Super Bowl. They came out and won 14 games. So now they lost it. I think that should really set them in.
Yeah, that's fair. Avery, very good point. Snead played wide receiver in high school.
Yeah, that's true.
Totally forgot about that. And hey, by the way, Hardman played DB until his last 2 years at Georgia. So
he played quarterback before that. So
yeah. Scott Province, good point. D-Rod does have some long arms out there.
Oh, I thought that was a knock on him.
No. He was talking about the easy, Dan. Dang.
I thought someone was trying to take the man's livelihood and just be like, he just sits there knocking some passes out of there.
That's a good point, Holly. Bucker is off to a nice start for so early in his career. I mean, it feels early in his career. Maybe
I was told that mixed extra points that are the worst thing ever. So I couldn't be that good, right?
Right. Jake, thank you. Glad you made it. Seth's not feeling up to par tonight. So he was in the chat earlier. I'm not sure if he's still here, but he's just going to take a week off. He'll be back next week. That's it. Good to see you too. Golden Tate to KC. Dan's in favor of it. I'm okay if it happens. I just don't know what it means. So it is one thing to have talent out there that you can bring on, as long as I think if you're not squashing something.
Yeah.
If they brought him in, I do think it would mean something bad for someone else, mainly Hardman.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
It is what it is. Steve, good point. Will did start as a rookie. I just can't remember another time 3 rookies started. That was where I was going. I probably said that wrong. Let's see. Scrolling too fast. That's what happens. You get to thinking stuff. And okay, music left. There we go. What do you think about Fred Clark's situation? And how much will it disrupt the defense? I don't think it was the smartest thing to do. I hope that the truth is that his bodyguard was the guy responsible for that, and he's the one who made the mistake.
Yeah.
I'm not putting money down on it either way. I don't think it'll be a distraction, though. Unless there's some extra circumstance, I don't think the league is going to suspend him. So I don't think it will disrupt the field. And if it doesn't do that, then I think the locker room is going to be fine.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would say. It doesn't seem at this point that anything's going to come of it. I feel like something would have come down the wire by now, unless there's some issue with, like you said, talking about whose gun it actually is. But that seems like it should be easy to figure out. So I feel like that everything should be fine by the beginning of the season, and I don't see it being an issue.
Holly, I'm with you. I am rooting for him too. I don't know what the drag has been. It seems like he's very confident in where he's at right now. Let's hope that means he's gotten some of those things straightened out. I'm very hopeful for him myself.
Yeah, you guys know, most of you, if you saw it, my Hardman review is up on the RGR channel.
Mm-hmm.
And I honed in a lot of things that I thought that he didn't do very well, things that I thought he was getting better at. And then, unfortunately, I think he got a little lazy in the divisional game, and that kind of put him on the bench. If you look at his snaps, he played 70% of the snaps in the game against the Browns, went down to 30 against the Bills and the Bucks. So there's something that happened there, and I'm interested to see if maybe that gave him a little bit of a wake-up call. So I'm hoping to see the best out of him this year too.
Yeah, I think that'll be cool. Like, I hope that that's a wake up. I hope that it's like, it has to come from internal. Everybody can hope for him to learn all this and to take the next step, but it's got to come from him at the end of the day. Don, good point. CBS, they said Larry to the Chiefs. I think that's interesting.
If they're bringing Larry Fitz to the Chiefs, he's going to be a wide receivers coach. Like, in terms of, he doesn't have it anymore, guys. I love him as a player. Doesn't have it anymore.
It's hard to see him breaking in. I would like to see him be a mentor. That aspect of it, Don, I'm totally with you there.
Agreed.
I do think Larry will be a coach eventually. I think he'll be a damn good one too.
100%.
Other questions. I'm just looking for questions in here, you guys. William, I will get that made up. We'll see if we're going to leave Seth on there or not. Laddie's got another good one. What's the likelihood Travis gets 1,000 yards this year? That's a good one, because if everybody does what the Bucs did, they were clearly taking away Tyreek first. Travis had a couple of miscues in that Super Bowl. I think he had the opportunity. It all depends on the chess game. Our team's now going to focus on Travis because they are expecting the Chiefs to expect that they're going to take away Tyreek. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be close, but I'm going to say yes. I think he does get it.
The likelihood is a 1,000% chance. Yes, he will do it, because first, he's an uncoverable player. And the only way you can actually stop him is to say, here, you two players, watch him all game. All game. That's all you do. You have one job. And guess what that's going to do? It makes the offense incredibly hard to stop if you're going to do that. And no defense will do that. So he's going to find a way to get open, and he always does. He finds ways to make yards after the catch. He always does that little pivot. That inside-outside pivot is indefensible. Like, he's done it every game almost. Like, he always finds a way to do it, and he's just going to continue to rack up those yards.
Yeah, I have to think so.
Unless he gets hurt, but we don't want to say that.
Shut up. I don't want to think about the opposite.
I knocked on the wood. I knocked on the wood, guys.
Holly, you're right. We're catchphrase central over here tonight.
I don't have one, though, but that's okay.
Don, glad you're here to listen. That's cool. Upgraded Kemper or the Combine or St. Louis. That's a good point, Michael. I mean, I don't know how many. What is it? The Sprint Center now?
Yeah, I think so.
How many fields could you fit into that? 1.5? I mean, that's built for a basketball floor. That's not. I don't think you could fit it. I mean, yes, there is the field in St. Louis. That's a good point. I don't know if it's being upkept or what, though. I have no idea the conditions. So who knows? But hey, good point. I do think it'll go to a dome team, and then they'll probably do it in a stadium like they do in Indy, is my thought.
Interesting.
Lions D-line and O-line. What'd they go with Bulaga at left? Isn't that where he signed?
No. They have Decker at left tackle, so they have Sewell at right tackle. The Lions defense, offensive line, is going to be in the top 10 of the NFL this year. I 100% believe that they will. I'm actually currently doing offensive line breakdowns for the Fantasy Football Astronauts. They are one of the guys that I have starred. I think that they're going to be a very good offensive line. Unfortunately, they have Jared Goff now, so you're just going to see a bunch of short dink and dunk passes. And I think their D-line can actually be better than people think. You brought in Brockers, and you brought back Okora, I think he's going to be an actually really good player. I don't think last year was just a one-off. So I'm expecting better things this year. As much as Dan Campbell's kind of a wild card, I think that he can bring some energy to that team. So I'm looking forward to it.
Wild card is right. Good
that Lord. Is the only thing I can really say about it.
William, I will try to use Juicy as often as possible. According to Stevie, I am contractually obligated at this point, so I don't have a choice. Michael, welcome to the memberships.
Welcome, thank you.
I hope that you will enjoy them. There's a lot in there. There's all the member videos. When you guys join, if you get, what is it? draft picks at Rookies Begin, the videos where you have access to the behind the scenes stuff and all the extra stuff. You can go back and watch all that. It's just a membership playlist. It'll be on the front page once you're a member. Let's see. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Did Kemper come down, or is that the Sprint Center now renamed? I don't know.
I think it's T-Mobile Center now, as it's being
is it?
said in the chat. So.
Oh, sorry. You guys know better than me.
I'm just making sure I keep up on it so I don't, if I see something like this, I can answer it and kind of take credit for it.
Yeah, good. Do it. Okay, so they're doing rodeo there now, huh? Okay, that's interesting. Kansas City Chiefs, how are you? What are the odds of Patrick not missing a game this season?
I don't want to talk about it. I'm not going to lie to you.
I was going to say, I think it's a goal, but I'm guessing he's going to take one off, even if it is game 17.
Yeah, I think that's probably obviously the goal. I don't want to project for missing time other than the rest game at the end of the season. I'm sorry.
Yeah, stop. Not allowed. Dan's getting banned. Laddie, what position do you see that we need a primary need for the KC next year's draft? I mean, they even say this on the national shows now. Like, if you missed my conversation with Nate Tice from a few months ago, whatever. No, it was pre-draft.
It's about a month ago now.
Yeah, it was pre-draft. We talked about it a little bit, but he was just on, he does the athletic show. He was just talking about primary need and the fact that Chiefs just are one of those teams that don't have or seem to want a top 5 corner. But corner's always on my list. And I think I'm just not in sync with what the front office or the staff are thinking. So primary need for them is likely going to be wide receiver or linebacker, I'm thinking. Maybe it's edge.
It might be edge, but again, we just did that whole thing about edge with being fast and furious. They don't really care. Hopefully, they take a little bit more interest in the cornerback position or the line, or what was I just talking about? Defensive end position. But if you go through this year, this season, and you don't have a breakout from Hardman, you don't have a breakout from Pringle, Robinson continues to do what he's doing, I'm willing to bet that 2 of those guys get cut next year because you're just going to let Hardman finish out his contract, and you're going to draft a wide receiver high. And if maybe Powell shows you something a little bit down the line, you still will need a wide receiver. And if that ends up being how it works out, that's probably going to be their front concern for Mahomes.
It makes perfect sense in that scenario for sure. Ryan, will the Chiefs' interior defensive line be more of a positive factor this season that people are anticipating? On paper, potential is there. I'll tell you this. I think when we look back at this season, I think Jaron Reed's going to be the biggest offseason signing of the year.
100%.
He's going to make everybody better. He's going to help make Hutch. I don't know. That's probably too far to go. He's going to make Hitch.
Hutch?
No, did I say Hutch? Sorry. He's going to make Hitch look like the Hitch like they anticipated when they signed him.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Because he'll keep him clean. I'm telling you. Ben, with the RPO game, will Patrick choose more run than pass if he sees it getting covered deep? Tyreek and Travis are being doubled. What's your gut tell you, Dan? Will he do it?
Well, it really, like you said, it really depends on what he sees pre-snap. If, especially during the game, the process of the game, if they're essentially taking steps back on the snap, I think he's going to hand the ball off more. And really, it's going to depend on the success. I think that he's going to be more focused on studying defenses and seeing everything pre-snap is going to really determine this. I think early in the season, we're going to maybe see a couple handoffs that maybe he shouldn't have done based on the defensive look, and it'll work itself out to later in the season when they're throwing the ball all over everybody and he starts to gouge them with these handoffs instead. So unfortunately, I can't really give you a definitive he's going to do more run versus pass because we don't really know how defenses will play. But if they play much like the Bucs did, I would imagine that they're going to gouge people in the run game.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this, that is more demoralizing than giving up a big pass. Watch the way corners walk off a big pass given up. Like it's damn, I let that happen, but they're out and they're on the next play. You hurt somebody in the run game where they're just getting beat physically, that attacks your manhood mentally. And I think that has a bigger effect on the game than we haven't seen in a number of years because of it's so pass happy right now. I look forward to those days. Thank you, William. I appreciate it. Sexy Accident, how are you? How do you see the AFC West QBs faring against us this year? The juicy rivals. Ooh, juicy rivals.
Juicy
like
rivals.
too.
That's nice.
That is good. Dang. I don't know. Y'all started something now. It's going to be all juice all the time. Dang. That's a very good question. Let's
talk it out a little bit. So we know that Herbert is a good quarterback. If he takes an actual next step, they kept Pep Hamilton there as his QB coach. That's huge in my opinion. He was with him last year. He worked with him, and I think that's going to be huge in his development. I believe he's going to take a step next year. We know reading defenses is not easy for young quarterbacks, and Spags likes to really screw with young quarterbacks. So I think that he's still going to put up some numbers. Their offense is really, really good. And hi, pup dog.
we have a new adoption. She's a little Chihuahua that my wife brought home a couple of weeks ago. She's getting used to stuff, and it's thundering here. So welcome.
So I think that we can assume that Justin Herbert will be the only one that has a lot of success. I think he's going to keep them in games against the Chiefs, but I think the offensive line of the Raiders is going to force Derek Carr to continue what he's been doing most of his career and check it down. And I mean, it doesn't really matter who's at quarterback in Denver. Bridgewater put up points against you last year, which was hard to watch, and he's in a good situation. So maybe they have a chance with Teddy. I think he's going to win the job. So I think the only guy you can really look at is Herbert, probably gouging them a good amount.
Yeah, neither Teddy or Drew scares me, and that I know they're up for Hard Knocks, and that might be the least interesting quarterback battle I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, the only thing that'll change that is if Aaron gets traded. I don't know if that's going to happen. So who knows? Thank you for straightening me out, Todd. I can't keep up with the naming rights on all these places. Thank you, Steve. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Holly, thank you. Juicy, adorable. Yes, Seth will feel better and be back, I promise. I don't know if he'll be adorable, but he'll be here. I try not to compliment him that much. Only Dan gets to be adorable on this show.
Oh, that's nice. I don't think I have that baby face that Seth does. So I don't know if I can pull off the adorable.
Good point. Didi, if Orlando Brown doesn't become what we thought this season, what do you think that they do? I think the investment warrants a contract period.
I think I'll tag him.
Yeah, that could be an option too. I think it's easier to sign him, and then if you decide you have to move on, do that than the tag, because I don't know that another team is going to want to invest in that.
No, I'm sorry. I thought they were talking about what he could do. But if he doesn't play as well, that saves you money. You just sign to a lower contract, and then you hope he gets better throughout the contract. But he's going to be a Chief for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I have to think so as well. Gary, it's not about signing; it's whether the Packers choose to trade him or not. And I think Aaron would be all for it. I think the Broncos would be all for it. I just don't know the Gutekunst and the Packers are going to be for it. So
I think the Packers are not going to do it. I think they're going to play chicken up to the season, and they're not going to blink. I really believe it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I don't know. I mean, I know there's the rumor of him opting out because I guess it'll save his money or whatever.
Yeah,
I have no idea about that, but I don't know. I just can't see them giving up his rights no matter what. I think it is personal, it feels like. And I just don't think he's going to give in. So Herbert is he's not as athletic as Patrick. He has a good arm. It's not quite as good as Patrick. I just don't think he has the processing ability as well as Patrick. He's good pre-snap. When the play breaks down, I don't think that Herbert is near Patrick Mahomes, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. So that's I did a little bit of looking into this actually. And if you look at Herbert's air yards last year, they didn't have a wide receiver in the top 25 in terms of targeted air yards. So he wasn't throwing the ball down the field a whole lot. He was getting the ball out quick to his first read a lot of the time. When plays did break down, he liked to chuck it down to Mike Williams. He did have some targets to, Jalen Guyton and some of his Tyrone Johnson down the field, guys that are just pure burners. They don't have anything else really bringing to the table. Keenan Allen was a guy who got open early and helped him. Obviously we know that he put up a bunch of numbers last year, but he gets open in the short intermediate parts of the game. So that last year really was his detriment, was that he was able to complete passes into tight windows at a high rate, a high efficiency rate. That's not going to continue. We all know the NFL changes that way, and next year he's not going to have the same efficiency numbers as he did last year. So Mahomes is a much better seer of the deep field. Like he knows where he wants to go, and he can see, even if he didn't understand the defenses necessarily like he did up until last year, he knew what was going to happen before it did. That's why he had those that's why he's got so many long touchdowns. He just knows what's going to happen. He has a way about seeing the field as it's unfolding that quarterbacks don't have. A lot of quarterbacks don't have. That's what makes him special.
And he truly is. It's going to be a good battle, though.
Yeah,
that's not to say that he can't be competitive.
No, he's going to be great.
Yeah, I think he's going to be. I think him, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes are going to be like the top 3 quarterbacks in about 2 years that we're going to talk about for the next 8.
Yeah,
I think Patrick could play easily into his 40s.
Yeah, I do too.
Thank you, Aaron. Yes, if you guys would like and share on social media, it's the slow time of the year, so it's a good time to get fans that are like, "Hey, there's nothing going on." Well, you can tell them RGR is going on. So I will promise you that. Yeah, we don't quit. I'd love to tell you that that's intentional. We're just addicts to football, so it is what it is. Stevie, thank you for that. I guess the deadline is tomorrow for Aaron Rodgers, so maybe we'll know something soon. Cleaning up the rest of this, and we will call it a night. You guys, Michael, one more question. Newest member, and thank you for all the super chats and all the memberships.
Thank you guys so much.
Welcome to the members, and thank you to the super chatters. If Rodgers doesn't want to be there, what does his season look like? I think I will not be surprised if Aaron Rodgers is so spiteful he will retire.
Yeah, I 100% believe he retires. He already has almost essentially a gig wrapped up to host Jeopardy.
Yeah,
I mean, he's going to have money coming in.
Todd, you said it. Another new member. I appreciate that. We won't quit. It is adorably juicy. Okay. I love that. Okay. So you members, look for something after the weekend. Consider joining the memberships if you all want for that extra stuff. Thank you to the super chatters. 3 weeks and quarterbacks are going to be throwing balls. So pay attention, get ready, enjoy your downtime. And we will be back. I thank you guys for joining us tonight. Seth, hope you feel better. He will be back as well. And Dan, thanks for filling in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Now I'm going to go deal with a crying baby because it's past her bedtime.
Ruh-roh. All right. You all have a good night. We'll talk to you next time.